Hello everyone, it's DuckFair07. Today we are playing GRIXIS Reanimator, and Faithless Looting is such a huge upgrade for this type of strategies. Okay, so it enables us to turn 1 put Archon in the yard or put Oculus in the yard, then turn 2 we can Unearth or Persist, and it's super strong. Emperor of the Bones in this build, in addition to Psychic Frog, makes a rest of our creature suit, and it is another way to put Archon in on the field from the graveyard. In addition to Persist, Emperor of the Bones is great with Archon because it gives it haste immediately, so you get 2 Archon abilities plus damage from Archon, and that is usually enough to win the game. So Emperor of the Bones really strong with Archon, and it's always great to have additional way to reanimate your creature in Reanimator deck, of course. So that is it. In the main we have some Counterspells and Force of Negations. In the sideboard, couple more Spell Pierces and some Graveyard Hate, 2 of Nihil Spellbombs, 2 Surgicals, a couple of Mass Removal, 1 Orvar mainly to fight creativity, but it can be decent against Burning Inquiry decks. But yeah, the point is copying your opponent Archon of Cruelties when mainly against creativity, but also like other reanimator strategies, because Faithless Looting plus Persist will definitely be popular for some time. Okay, so other than that, I got second Molten Collapse Fulminators because they're great with Persist and Unearth. I got a couple of Meltdowns as a great artifact hate for all those Mox Opal decks, and that's it. Okay, so that is the deck. Let's go check out the gameplay. Okay, so I've had a very good time with this deck. I did 8-2 score with it, and we are going to go through one of these 4-1 leagues and see how the deck played out. But I'm really super happy with how that all went. Okay, so let's check out match 1, game 1, starting first. With Survey Land, putting Swamp on top, passing the turn. I have Persist, I have Archon in hand, so I'm now missing a way to put Archon in the yard. Okay, so I shock in the Steam Vents, kill the Guide of Souls, hold mana to go for the Consider. I'm digging to find a way to bin Archon at this point. If I can bin Archon, I can like certainly win here. Okay, so here it is. I go for Consider. At this point, I'm digging either for a Frog or for a Faithless Looting. Both of these cards basically win me the game immediately. Okay, so here I go for Consider, and I find Oculus. Oculus is a good card at the moment. I'm able to cast it on turn 4. I have cards in the yard, and it also finds me Faithless Looting, which is great because I have double Archon in my hand. So I go for looting, graveyard my Archons, and try to dig for a land to persist it immediately on the same turn. But yeah, that didn't happen, so had to wait for a next turn. Opponent plays a Spyro, bins the Flage, and now I have like 2 Archons in the graveyard. I can go like a double Archon. If my opponent flips Ajani, I can easily kill it with my Oculus. And after I play double Persist, my opponent of course decides to concede, so that is the game. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Energy Post-Ban is still like one of the best decks in format, if probably like the best. I think Mardu at the moment sees a little bit more play than Boros, but they're both like really good at the moment. So it's still important that your deck is strong against energy. Okay, so I kill one Ragavan, opponent has another one, so it doesn't matter. I go for a Frog here, but yeah, opponent has Chain to the Rocks. Did not expect that, but yeah, I saw people play that before as well. Okay, so opponent here goes for Dagon Rush again, finds Consider from top of my library. That's fine. So I go for Faithless Looting, and instead of going for the Frog, I decide to go for the Looting and I find Oculus, put it in the yard, and immediately unearth it this turn. Oculus is such a good card against energy. It's one of the easiest ways to win against energy. If they don't have answer immediately, it provides a lot of value, hits them hard in the air, so it's hard to play against. Okay, so I decide to just let the Oculus do its thing, shock in the Watery Grave to hold 2 blue mana. So I'm holding Counterspell here. Also, I bind Archon with Oculus ability. So that's great. If I find the Persist, it's probably just game over on the spot. Okay, so opponent plays another Spyro, makes 2 energy. And yeah, here I find a double Psychic Frog. I keep Steam Vents in my hand in case I need to discard it to grow my frog. And I continue attacking. Opponent is on 9 at this point. And so I have another Oculus on the manifested creature. That means I can probably find lethal next turn. I can just discard cards on Psychic Frog, give it flying, but I find Toxic Deluge from the top, which is such a great top deck at the moment. I get to kill entire opponent's board, but that doesn't make much sense right now since I don't have a lethal. I can give flying to my creatures, both frogs, and flip the Oculus and just end the game. So that is it. Opponent concedes before I was able to finish, and that is match 1. Okay, so let's check out match 2. Okay, let's check out match 2. Again, I'm playing first and my hand is pretty decent. So I can go like turn 1 looting, bin the Oculus, or better. I have Persist in hand, which means I can turn 2 Persist Oculus, which is a very good play. It's very hard to beat like turn 2 Oculus. Okay, so I manifest a Psychic Frog, that's also pretty decent. Okay, so I start attacking. This is like a 3-turn clock, and I go for looting and find another frog, play frog, pass the turn. Maybe it was better here to hold the Counterspell, but I knew they were going to probably just going to play the Flesh Raker, and I was okay with them playing the Flesh Raker. I make another creature here, bin the Archon. I have double Fatal Push in my hand and Counterspell, so I'm pretty safe from anything my opponent can do this turn. Okay, so they go for Kozilek's Command, try to kill the Oculus, but I have Counterspell to protect it, which is enough for lethal next turn, so that is the game. 1 against Mono Green Brute Scale. Okay, let's check out game 2. Okay, so let's also check out the sideboarding plan against Mono Green Brute Scale. So 1 Consider goes out, Force of Negations go out, 1 Emperor of the Bones. Okay, so I wanted like a second Molted Collapse, first Toxic Deluge, and the Molten Collapse is just really good against them. Usually it enables me to kill both of the Blade of the Blood Chief and the creature, which is big deal. Also kills their Graveyard Hate like Soul Guide Lantern. Okay, so Counterspells are still decent. And I was in such a good position, like I'm attacking with Frog, drawing cards, holding Counterspell in hand. That is a great deal. Okay, so here I'd go for grow my Frog a bit, continue attacking, go for Consider, and find a Counterspell. The Counterspell here is also a big deal. So now at this point, double Counterspell, double Fatal Push plus Counterspell, it's almost unbeatable. Okay, so I go for Oculus to make my clock stronger, and holding Counterspell plus Fatal Push is obviously super strong. So here I go Counterspell on their Kozilek's Command, and just passing the turn, keeping triple push, and that's too much for opponent. They can get out of this. So that is game over. Okay, so very quick game 2 against Brute Scale combo. So let's check out match 3. We'll go through wins first, then check out defeat in the end. Okay, so match 3. Okay, so again I have Faithless Looting to start with. A double Counterspell, consider all decent cards, so I go for looting. I find Persist, and I decide to bin Psychic Frog. I have Unearth, so I can go like consider Unearth next turn. Okay, my opponent goes for looting as well. They bin the Oculus and pass the turn. Okay, so I go for consider, and unfortunately I was not able to. If I played like consider in upkeep, I would bin Oculus, which would be stronger play. But this is great as well. Maybe I should have. There was no point in binning Oculus there because I can just hard cast it, and that way I can save the Persist if I find Archon. And here it is. I find it immediately with Oculus ability, which means I can Persist next turn, and I think Persist in this situation or on Archon just immediately wins me the game. There's like no chance they recover for this. From this I kill their frog, have Oculus on the field. They also have to discard another card. So it's a really bad situation for them, and opponent concedes. Let's check out game 2. This is GRIXIS Oculus. I think this is pretty standard build at the moment. Okay, so let's check out a sideboarding plan here. One Unearth, one Oculus goes out. This is a card pair that I often sideboard. When I'm sideboarding the 4th Oculus out, usually one Unearth goes out as well. Force of Negations in this matchup, I think Spell Pierce is better than, because this matchup is all about card advantage, and obviously Spell Pierce and Force of Negation here do similar job, but Spell Pierce is Force of Negation is kind of card disadvantage in this matchup, which is not that desirable. Okay, so I have a bunch of removal here, so I decide to hold Counterspell for something I can't kill. It turned out my opponent was also playing Archon of Cruelty, so it was kind of like a mirror match. Okay, so opponent, I had Counterspell for Tamio, then I had Fatal Push for a Psychic Frog and holding a Spell Pierce for their turn, plus Nihil Spellbomb. That seemed like a great deal. Okay, so opponent here goes for Tamio, tries to flip it with looting, but I have Spell Pierce. I have 5 cards in my graveyard, so I go for a Nihil Spellbomb crack. They have to crack their Nihil Spellbomb in response, which means they don't get to draw a card. If they don't crack it, I get to play the Oculus. Unfortunately, I draw another Archon of Cruelty. That is definitely not what I needed here. So my opponent is in a slightly better situation here. They get to play the Faithless Looting. They have lands. They have flipped Tamio, but also they have only one card in hand. So I go for consider, find a land, try to Molten Collapse their Tamio, but opponent has Force of Negation as their last card in hand. They plus their Tamio. Tamio goes up on 6. And at this point, I really need a way to discard Archon of Cruelty. And I'm hoping to either find Psychic Frog or Faithless Looting, and I find Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog is what I need at this point, so I get to discard Archon. Persist Archon, kill Tamio, which threatens to ulti next turn. Opponent tries to draw in response, but doesn't find a solution for Persist, and this makes them discard a card, kills their Tamio, and I also have a Frog on the field, Oculus in hand, and at this point, yeah, my opponent concedes, so that is the match. Okay, so let's check out last win of this league. Match number 4. We are going to go through the feed after that. Okay, so it's a decent hand. I don't have a creature, but I have lands, I have looting, I have removal, I have consider, so there's a lot going on. Opponent has one of those crazy starts with a turn 1 Urza Saga plus Emery. That's like pretty crazy. Okay, so here I go, turn 1, kill Emery and bin my Archon, and I also have Persist for the next turn, so that's a pretty strong start. Opponent I have Persist, so I'm able to Persist Archon, make them discard a card and still hold push to kill their construct or whatever. Opponent makes a construct, makes a second construct, so at this point I decide it's best to just kill that construct and kill the second one with Archon ability, and that makes them immediately lose the game, so yeah, that was it. Okay, so opponent lost game 1, let's check out game 2. So this, not sure what exactly this, I think it's like affinity, but can't be completely sure of from what I saw. Here you can see opponent playing again turn 1 Emery, and now we see Glimmering Void, Thought Monitor in the yard, which definitely confirms this is like a classic Emery affinity. Okay, so here I find Molten Collapse, which makes me able to kill both Emery and Springleaf Drum, which means Emery won't be able to get their Thought Monitor back, and also they won't be able to make a second construct. But opponent was able to play Kappa Cannoneer, which is very big deal. And I was able to discard Archon, grow my frog, but opponent has Tarmoth Crypt on the field. They have big Kappa Cannoneer doing lethal damage next turn, so that is the game. Okay, let's check out game 3. Okay, so this is a one lander with only single island, so that was not very keepable. I decided to keep this pretty decent hand, double counterspell, persistent frog seems pretty good. And I'm not sure what happened, but my opponent played Ornithopter and conceded in game 3, and guess they kept like 0 land hand, or I'm really not sure what happened, but yeah, that was pretty weird. My opponent concedes on their turn 1 in game 3, so that was very quick. Okay, so let's check out the defeat in the end. Again, a one lander with just a sink into stupor, not really keepable. Here I have turn 2 frog. Frog lets me discard Archon, and yeah, that's a pretty strong start. It doesn't get much better than that. I also have a double counterspell, and it seems like my opponent is playing. Eldrazi Breach, and they have turn 2 Yggdrasil, which is very hard to beat at this point, and I have Counterspell, but Counterspell can't really beat it, so yeah, Counterspell can't really beat it, so that's a big problem. I can't counter this ability, and my opponent gets to exile 3 cards from the top and just use 4 mana to put their big Eldrazi's in the field, and I don't have a removal for Null Drifter. I only have Fatal Push in the main, so I have to find a way to reanimate Archon to beat them. In the meantime, opponent is doing the Yggdrasil stuff. Okay, so I bring their Null Drifter back to their hand, but now opponent has Through the Breach with Ulamog, so yeah, that's enough for a kill. Very good hand by the opponent, starting with turn 2 Yggdrasil, turn 5 Through the Breach. And they also had Cozy Legs command to deal with my Psychic Frog, and yeah, that's a really, really good curve, and I was not able to do much there. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Okay, so in game 2, we can see the sideboarding plan against Eldrazi's. Obviously, the Fulminator mages go in. And Fulminator enabled me to kill their Eugene's Labyrinth, Eldrazi Temples, slow them down. I have Unearths and Persists, which can be really, really strong combo with those cards. But here we can see opponents starting with double Eugene's Labyrinth, and they have turn 2 Kozilek command to kill my Psychic Frog. It doesn't get much better than that for them. Okay, also my frog is exiled, so can't use Persist or Unearth on it. My opponent plays the Stone Brain. I decide like I have to keep this counterspell for more relevant spells. I only have a single counterspell here, and the rest of my spells are kind of useless at the moment. So I cycle the Unearth. I have Abhorrent Oculus. That's pretty good. It's a bit risky because I have to tap out, and now my opponent has enough mana to both use the Eugene Labyrinth to bring Devourer back, and then also exile my Oculus. But I have a second Oculus. It was manifested in their upkeep. And here we can see opponent once again on turn 5. They have Through the Breach with just a couple of cards in their hand. They have Through the Breach and a Miracle for the lethal. And yeah, that was in both games very, very hard to play. Opponent had very, very strong hands, and I was not able to do much there. Okay, so that is it. That were all the games in the entire league. I think I forgot to show the sideboarding plan against Energy, but it's obviously all these two Mass Removal go in, Molten Collapse go in, and some combination of Nihil Spellbomb and Surgical go in. Surgical removes all their flages. It's obviously good, but in the grindy matchup, I also prefer like Nihil Spellbomb, because it exiles their flage and draws me a card, replaces itself. Depending on how many spots I have post board, I probably like go like 2 Nihil Spellbombs, 1 Surgical, if I have enough spots to put that all out. So I'm expecting some graveyard head from them too, so usually bring out like 1 Unearth, 1 Oculus, like 1 Emperor, 1 Consider, and I think besides that, it's all other cards are really good. Maybe you can, but you don't need Force of Negations. So you have like a 6 card to put out and 6 cards here to bring in. So yeah, I forgot to show the plan. So I think that is my plan at the moment for Energy matchup. Okay, so I think that makes most sense. So these 6 cards for these 6 cards. That's it. So hope you like the video. Hope you like the gameplay. Click like, click subscribe, please, and comment down in the video how do you feel about this version of Reanimator. It's very similar to Dimir Reanimator. I had a brood on my channel like a month or 2 ago, and I think that build was already very, very strong, and Faithless Looting is such a huge upgrade for the archetype, and this deck just got a lot better. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this deck. I think has a lot of potential. I think it's a strong deck, strong choice in the current metagame. I don't think like Reanimator was better positioned in modern like ever before. Like now, especially since we also now have Emperor of the Bones and Oculus plus Frog in this incredible archetype, which is just getting better and better over time. And obviously looting is definitely card many didn't expect to be unbanned at the moment, and I think it's strongest of the unbanned cards. Obviously, Mox Opal is very strong as well. Green Sun Zenith definitely will be played a lot, but looting, I always feel like looting enables um, these graveyard strategies, which obviously can be controlled with enough graveyard hate. That is why in my sideboards at the moment I have a combination of graveyard hate, like mostly like at least 3 pieces, but mostly 4 pieces. Okay, so that is it. Once again, hope you like the gameplay, hope you like the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, that's all for today, and goodbye.